thanks for the reminder, because now I just remembered to hit record. All right, well, while we wait to get started, I am going to get a glass of water and then I'll be right back. We'll wait just a couple minutes because it's distance learning, and so we have to have some flexibility about when things begin. So just a couple minutes, and then we will get started with Google Drive 101 and some other tips. I certainly will be happy to respond to questions that are posted as well to make sure we get you the information that you need. This will be a series of some Google-centric PD sessions that'll be offered over the next couple of weeks to continue to leverage and figure out how to use this tool in distance learning. But as I said, there have been some common questions that I'm hoping I can help address right now during this time. And then we'll continue to come up with answers to questions that are posted. And so that's how we will operate. I'm going to go fill up my glass of water, and then I promise it's water. And then I will be right back. All right, my friends, that is what I would consider to be wait time in the distance learning land. And so I am going to go ahead and get started. And first thing I'm going to do is remember to share my screen so you can see what's up. I hope to good gracious that you can hear the family laughing and having fun during lunch right now. That was kind of a part of this, was to do it over lunch. And it's nice for me to hear them laughing and enjoying each other, because everybody adjusting to being home together. That isn't always the case, but it has been today, so that's good. All right, my friends, here is, I'm going to send you this link in the chat, and this is where I'm going to begin. And I'm going to begin on the second session or second portion of this and talk about in here some tips for, sorry, let me go back here. Some tips for surviving in a shared work environment that is Google Drive. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this presentation, but it does give a nice little outline of what I will be sharing with you to begin with, so as a way to start. So in Google Drive, we're going to take a look at mine, which is kind of a mess, and so be prepared for that. But we will take a look at that. I need to be able to see what's going on here. I don't want to lose track of the chat. Sorry, while I make an adjustment to the screen so I can keep an eye on you. And then we'll do this. And I'm going to go over here. And somebody maybe Debbie, will you acknowledge the fact that you can right now see my Google slide deck that says priority, my drive, shared drives, and all of that? So I know that you are seeing what I think you're seeing.
Yep, I can see it.
All right, thanks. All right, so like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this presentation, but this will give the outline to help me keep on track of what I'm going to cover here. So a little bit about the navigation in Google Drive is very 101, but you have the priority, my drive, shared drives, shared with me, recent, starred, and trashed. And so just a quick word about what these are. The priority one is computer supported. And so this is actually the things that Google tries to acknowledge as important elements that you are either opening daily or regularly. And so if you click on the priority tab, you will see your most recently worked upon items. My drive is your place to organize. It's when you create a new file, it goes into your My Drive section of Google Drive, and then that is where you can create folders and create some organization for yourself. Shared drives is a section where the district actually sets those up and owns the content in those drives. We're not really going to spend a lot of time talking about that because that's a new element and one that we won't really dive into in distance learning. One of the important things to know about is the shared with me section of your Google Drive. In the shared with me section, any files that you're invited to be to view or to work on live in shared with me. The important thing to note is things that are in shared with me cannot be organized until they're added to your My Drive section of your Google Drive. And so I will cover that quickly too. Recent, I use this regularly. So when I start my day in Google Drive, I'm either clicking on the priority tab or I'm navigating to recent because it's the most common things that I have worked on recently. And so it's a way that I manage my life to find. And then starred is a way to create your own organization. So there's a filter to find things under starred. And so it's a nice way for you just to have to prioritize certain things. And maybe I should avoid using the words priority. All right, and then the last one is in trash. And why I want to highlight trash is because one of the things that happens in a shared workspace, not to anybody that's in this session, but to other people, is you accidentally throw things away in the trash in Google Drive that was shared with you and someone else is the owner of. And so the reason why I bring up trash is so you can see this very important detail that it's there for 30 days before it's deleted. And even when it's deleted in our organization, we have a backup of it. And so we can restore those things. So that's just to ease a little bit of anxiety in working in Google Drive. Just so you know, if something accidentally gets thrown in the trash, unless you go through and actively empty your trash, don't ever do that. It'll be in there for 30 days. So that's sort of the general navigation for Google Drive. What I wanted to highlight further during this time is, let me go to my Google Drive, is just some of the tips that I've picked up along the way, and then specific to what might help with distance learning. So one of the important things to note that I said in the beginning is things that are under the shared with me section of your Google Drive. In order to organize those things, you have to move them into your My Drive section. And so look, anything that's here under the shared with me section, all of this stuff that's in here, is stuff that people have invited me to view or invited me to contribute to. And if I want them to be organized in a folder, I can select the item and I can right click on it. So this right click menu that is taking a second to show up will open up this little right click menu, and then you can add it to your Google Drive. And so adding it to your Google Drive then means that you can organize it. You can also move it from here. So right from here, if you want to click Move To, it'll let you move that item into a folder that already exists in your Google Drive. And so in order to organize things from Shared With Me, you can use that little right-click menu trick, and then you can click on the section of your My Drive. And excuse me, because some of this gets a little bit trying to make the distinguish between the thing that you own and then the thing that's actually called My Drive. And then from there, you can add it to a folder. And so you just click this little arrow to the right, and you can dig into your folders, and then you can tuck things away from Shared With Me into the different folders. And so that is how to take content that has been shared with you and organize it for your life in Google in your My Drive section. So that is just a key tip, because I know a number of people get a little bit, because they're so similar, they get a little confused about what's going on in this section, and then why can't I organize it here? Because when you look at here, it looks kind of similar to what goes on in My Drive. So just a quick, just wanted to make sure to point that out, that that's a way that you can organize those things. So that is one of the things that people often ask about. Another thing to note, and this is, well, let's do it this way. So the other thing I want to make sure that, and if you've seen me present on this before, you've heard me mention this, is in the world of digital content where it is so easy to make stuff. And so the story that I like to share is when I in late last century in 1999, when I would go to the Boundary Waters, I would have to count the rolls of film that I would bring, and I'd have to be real thoughtful about, how many rolls of film am I going to carry? And so if I brought 10 rolls of film, that would be 240 photos that I would have to manage. Well, now in the digital photo realm, I don't have to think about that. And so on a trip that used to be 240 photos, I might take 2,400 now. And the point being, in the digital realm, it's just easy to make more stuff. And so knowing how to search for things is really going to be a strong survival technique for you to develop, because there's just so much that can be made so easily. Knowing how to use the search feature in Google Drive is going to help ease your transition to making and finding the stuff, particularly in our situation with distance learning, where you don't typically get to sit next to your co-teacher to help manage this. And so what I recommend is coming up with a naming protocol. And so I have been using distance learning, for example, as a way to name files that I'm working on for this particular situation. And then you can see, just by doing that one little search, and because I've been using that naming protocol, my work begins to pop up right in this initial window right here. So that is step one, is think about a naming function that you can get to as a group, and then, well, individually and as a group, and then try to stick with that. My experiences, don't make it too difficult, because if you make it too difficult to sustain, so if you get too specific with the naming protocol, people will forget and will stop doing it. Distance learning dash the thing that you're working on seems like an easy way to help manage this. So naming protocols help. They matter in the search function. The other part is over on the right-hand side, this little search options button. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to continue to mention it. You'll see now that when I move my mouse over an item, the little alt tag, the little link, icon will explain what it is. Search options pops up there. And so that's nice to know that that exists. So if you don't know what an icon is, like this one over here, you can just leave the mouse on it for a second and it'll pop up the little tag to tell you what that symbol means. So just a little tip for surviving on the internet. These little alt tags here are what screen readers use so that the visually impaired can navigate these things. So just a little tip for you. I'm going to click this little drop down search options menu here. And then this is where, and really I use this all the time. And so becoming familiar with this little drop down menu will help you filter the results in your search so that rather than taking the time to click through all of these folders, so if I click on my drive, and I click the little drop down menu, then I'm going to get to my folders, and then I can click to these folders. Yeah, I can do that. So in this part of the section, so rather than trying to dig into all of these folders for myself, what I'm going to use is the search features. Sorry, let me see if I can zoom out just a touch here. Nope. The search features under this, under the search box. So your search options. So I'm going to zoom out just a touch. And so in these filters will just help you find your content quicker. So the type is what type of item are you looking for? So in many cases, you aren't looking for a spreadsheet, you're looking for a document. So if you start with that one filter, now you're only going to search for the things that are Google Docs within your drive. The owner is the other filter that I use regularly, and I don't necessarily worry about, I don't need to know that who the owner was necessarily. I just know whether I made it or not. And so if it's owned by me, I will use the owned by me filter. And if it's not, I don't get into this specific person very often. I just say it's not owned by me. And those two right there will help to limit the search results down to a much more manageable list of documents. And so now instead of having pages of documents to look through, I end up with a page of documents, and it makes it a little easier for me. So that search options window is a lifesaver and one that you can use regularly to help manage or help to manage your life in Google Drive and be able to find the things that you're looking for. That is a big deal. If you can get accustomed to that, that is a little bit different than what you do on your computer, but that is just a great way to find your stuff, and one that I use regularly and makes managing my life in this realm a lot easier. So hopefully that's a good tip for you. I am going to show you something now. We have begun this world of screencasting. And so now I'm going to show you another good tip in Google Drive is you have little extension called Screencastify and have been creating these wonderful screencast videos as morning messages or how to do things, all of the ways that we use the screencast. Those are all automatically saved in your Google Drive. And so you can actually search for the one folder. If you search for Screencastify, and then I'm going to use my little drop-down menu just to reinforce this. And I'm going to say what I'm looking for is a folder. And then I'm going to search. And I should see a Screencastify folder show up. That was hard to say. So obviously I didn't type in the right thing. So I'm going to use the handy ability of auto correct to help me out with that. I'm going to filter back down to folder just because I only want the folder. I just want to show you the folder. So now you can see I've got a Screencastify folder. This is where my videos that I'm creating are being stored automatically in Google Drive. So here's all these screencasts that I've been making. The reason why I want to show you that folder is another tip for managing our world in Google Drive, and one that I did it again, sorry. One that that we didn't really think about, or did not, particularly at the elementary level, did not have to worry about much, was the share settings of our content. And in most cases, when you try to share something from Google Drive, if you use the link to share, in most cases, it is by default, it's within the Edina organization. So in order to see it, you have to be able to log into Edina apps in order to see it. Well, in distance learning land, where the kids are at home and managing some of this, the chances are they could be logged into a different Google account. Their parents could be helping them. They could be on a parent machine. They might not be on the Chromebook. We've added so many variables to this situation because it's at home that you want to change your share setting habit to go from sharing to anyone within Edina Public Schools with the link to sharing to anyone in the world with the link. And that, if you are getting requests for access, that is probably the reason why. And so what I wanted to show you in this folder is you can set it once at a folder level, and then everything that gets put into this folder from that point forward will have the same share settings. And so this is just an easy thing to help you manage this going forward. And so I'm going to right click on this folder. I'm going to click the share button. And actually, I'm going to cancel real quick because I want to show you this is commonly what we're doing is we click when I right click on this folder, you can see right here it says get shareable link. Well, that's what I want. And so my instinct is to just click on that. So I'm going to click on that. And then if I click turn it on, you can see right here, it says anyone with Edina apps can view. That means if a kid happens to be working at a parent computer instead of the Chromebook, and they end up with this link through Schoology or through Seesaw or through email, then they're going to end up clicking on the link and it's going to say request access. And you're going to get the email that's requesting access to that. And chances are that request from access will come from a Gmail account or an AOL account and will be even more confusing for you. So what I wanted to show was to go into these share settings, and I'm going to do it. This is the way that I would manage it. I'm going to right click on this folder. I'm going to click the share button. And then you can see here the shareable link is on. Again, it's limited to anyone in Edina apps with the link can view. And I want to change that. I want that anyone in the world. It's fortunate that they use the word advanced, because if you're just getting accustomed with this word advanced makes it seem like it's something for somebody who's been living and working in Google land forever. This advanced just provides you a different set of options. And so I'm going to click on advanced, and you're going to see that right up here, I can change this share setting to anyone with the link. This, by default, changing this, and this again is a distance learning thing. You may not do this when we're back to the normal way of doing things. But in this realm, if you use this instead of this one, you're going to get less requests for access. So instead of these two, anyone within Edina apps that requires them to log in, you can choose this one right here, and that should help ease that. All right, and so I'm going to click save, and I'll click done. And then what I wanted to show is now that folder, my Screencastify folder, has an updated share setting. And so now by setting the folder share setting, when I go into that folder, automatically everything that is in this folder now, so I'm going to right click on daily check-ins. I'm going to click the share button so you can see. By default now, anyone with the link can view. I just changed access to everything within that folder by changing the folder level access. That is an easy way to manage all of that underneath. So boom, now everything is viewable with the link. And as you're working on distance learning, that can be a survival technique for you too. In Google Drive, you could create a new folder. So I'm going to click the new button. Create yourself a folder. You can call that folder distance learning. And then I'll create it. I'm going to go find it in my Google Drive. Oh, it made it in my Screencastify folder. I didn't mean for that to happen. That was an accident. But as long as it did, you can see already. So I just created that folder brand new. And because it was underneath underneath the Screencastify folder, look at that. It's already, by default, it's shared. So what I was going to suggest is you can set up a folder, set the share settings on that folder, and then anything you create in that folder or anything you add to that folder will have those same share settings. So it's a little like the Ronco. Remember Ronco, the rotisserie chicken guy? The Ronco moment of set it and forget it in that folder, and then use that folder to create your content or add content to, and your share settings will be set properly so that families and the kids can see it. And again, in this distance learning world where things are so different than what we would have in our classroom experience, you'll help limit the number of times you get asked that question or get that email requesting access for a document. So that is 30 minutes of content right there. So I'm going to pause right now. I'm going to stop presenting just for a second so that you have a chance to ask some other questions that you might want to know about. I do have some instructions on how to use Screencastify. They are in the Schoology course, and so look there. They're under distance learning. In the distance learning Schoology course, there's digital classroom resources, and our tutorials and things are being added to that folder, so that should help you find them there. Any other questions I can answer right now based on that first part, just of how to manage organization and folders and share settings on folders in Google Drive? All right. Here is, so I'll go back to, oops, sorry, let me see. I just saw a question pop up. Oh yeah, so that's so that's exactly what I was gonna, so in the chat now, the question is, if we move something out of a folder, won't other people lose access? And that is a great question. So what I want to highlight for you is a couple things. The first thing, wait till this starts presenting the screen. The first thing to know is that if you make the mistake of moving something out of a shared folder, the beauty of it is, once someone points out that mistake, once you add it back to that folder, all share settings are restored. And so it's a recoverable mistake, and one that is, that's a common issue as we get started in this. So if you move something out, and I'm just going to do one real quick. So I've got my EPS distance learning folder. I'm going to show you how to do this little icons in the name too, just because that's kind of fun. and we need to have a little fun. We're focused on utility right now, but we'll try to sprinkle in a little fun there too. So I'll show you that in a second. But if I go into this folder and I attempt to take something out of this folder, materials distribution, big shout out to the DMTS staff who delivered hundreds of devices on Monday. I just am so impressed with them. And I take it and I try to put it into, I'm going to move it. You know what? This is my 2019, 2020 world. I'm going to move it there. And if I do that, I am going to get this warning. Some people may lose access. Don't skip that. Say, oh, okay, well, I don't know that I want to do that. So click cancel. And instead, what you can do is you can click Shift Z. And when you click Shift Z, that changes the menu to add to. Now you can have this folder live in two places at once. So it can stay under this EPS distance learning folder, but I have my own organizational structure that I want to work on, and I really want to get it into my 1920 folder. So I'm going to click that and add it, and then it will be in two places. Because it's a digital file, not a physical file, it can actually live in more than one place. So again, the pro tip on that is if you really want to add further organization to your own Google Drive, Shift Z will give you the Add To menu instead of the Move menu. So Shift Z is one way to be able to honor the organization of other people without messing it up, and yet have your own organizational structure, because I know we like to have our own. So that's one tip that I would share with you. That's a good one, and share with other people, because they don't advertise that well, but that's a good one. Okay, this next tip that I'm going to share with you is a little Venn diagram-y, in that this is a tip that will serve my teacher teams working in Schoology, because Schoology uses a tool called the Google Drive assignment tool in Schoology, which allows you to set a template for students, and then it delivers that template to students. The one thing that's true about that is that will only be available for the teacher that posted it. And team and sharing Google Drive assignments, and one of your teammates makes it and that gets delivered to the kids, then that one teammate is going to be the only one who can actually see what the student resources are. But the nice thing is, in here, in your Google Drive, what happens in that situation is there is a Google Drive assignment folder that is created. This is created once per semester. And so you can see here's my folders now: Schoology, Google Drive assignment. This will be true. There's only one of these for you if you just started. If you have more than one, it's because you had one in the previous semester. So in this grading period, you have one Google Drive folder. And what you can do with this folder, and I'm just going to give you a quick view of this because this will be useful for 3 through 5. So take a look here. Then under this Schoology Drive assignment folder is my different sections. And so here's my section, here's a section, and here's a section. And then under those folders will be my different assignments. Okay. The point I wanted to share is on this top level Schoology folder, if you click share and add your teammates to it, then from that point forward, no matter who makes the Google Drive assignment in Schoology, you all will be able to review the results. You'll all be able to see the student work in it. And that is, again, a Ronco moment where go in, set that once at the top level folder, Schoology Drive assignments, add your teammates, and then from that point forward, everything that gets created in Schoology using the Google Drive folder will be shared with everyone on your team. This means like this could be adding support staff if they're working with the kids. So I just wanted to make sure that people knew that that was an option there in Google Drive as well. And I will make a screencast of that because that's particularly useful for teams working together in there. Oh yeah, this is my old Ardale account. Ignore that part. All right, so we've covered quite a bit in Google Drive. Organization is the first key to these things, and then I appreciate that that is one of the real challenges when you're not able to be in proximity. It would be awfully great if we could see each other daily, and we're clearly not. Hi, I'm back. My power went off. So, and then I was like, well, my computer still works, so nothing happened. But then I remembered that meant my wireless router and my internet turned off for a minute too. So I'm back. Sorry about that situation. So I was just going to stop and just ask for, see if there's any other burning items right now that I can help answer at the moment. Otherwise, that is the Google Tips and Tricks 101 for Google Drive. And as I pointed out at the very beginning of this, what I just covered is on this page as well. I'm going to post this in the chat for you. And so, yeah, that's how to and we'll look at Google Docs and Google Slides next in our next session and spend some time with some of the formatting features that you can use in there, and then some of the other tips and tricks I've picked up along the way in those that you're probably using pretty regularly now as well. So any other questions that you were hoping to get answered during this session that I can answer now? Otherwise, I'm going to jump out and go over to a meeting before I start the next PD session. It's my pleasure to help. Really, honestly, I enjoy it. I will reflect that it's absolutely Wednesday of week 2. I have felt a little like, the realization of how far into this we're going to have to go has been daunting. I like to just be open and honest about my own state in dealing with this. Like, there are days, today was a day where I was like, oh, we got to do this longer. And so, I'm just trying to stay connected to family and friends, and try to read the positive things on Twitter that I can find, and stay connected to my community of other teachers, because this is hard work. It's hard work for us. It's hard work for the families. It's hard work for the kids. And one of the ways that I continue to get satisfaction out of this work is the opportunity to help you all in any way that I can. So please keep the questions coming. It helps to know what's next for me as well. We will continue to offer more Google sessions. I know that this is a new environment for some, and then for others, there just are some really cool tips and tricks and ideas in there that you can use to restore the humanity in some of this distance learning, right? Ways that we can remain connected through this. So, all right, everybody, I appreciate you being here for this, and I will see you sometime soon.
Thanks so much, Sean.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely.